Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout. Now I'm doing little bit of singing, and I've got another camera somewhere playing. Hopefully I'll be able to turn off the sound. Okay, I've muted my computer. That's what I found. Oh, today I'm going to be talking about Mickell, which is a game for the deck whose name used to be Wibble plus plus. Yeah, that's a thing. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hey, so, good morning and hello. Hello, Xate. Um, yes, one of these days, I will shout. I was actually shouting on my cycle ride. True story. Yesterday, I was cycling. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before. Oh, my mind, I'm losing track of time. Anyway, it was the day when I was cycling. No, it definitely wasn't yesterday because I was live streaming all day yesterday, wasn't I? Anyway, so on Monday, I was coming, I was cycling along. I was cycling on the road, and then I was thinking about exactly what Xates had said, that they were waiting for the day when I would shout. And, I'm thinking of a song for Kitty Cataclysm. It's kind of just going to be me screaming, like goth style. Not God, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Anyway, oh, hello. It's lovely to see you. Bonjour. Um, yeah, this is as many layers as you get. Okay, so today I am talking. I am Bez. It is, if you are in New Zealand or if you are in Australia, it is bedtime. And as always, I am blethering about board games. And today, in fact, I'm going to be chatting about Mickell, which is a game for the L deck, and it is definitely a thing. And hello, Elaine. It is lovely to see you here as well. So, before I Mickell is the seventh game for the L deck, so these are the first five. Wibble, Grabble, Phrasal, Fable, Alphabetical, and then the sixth one is Couple, and I've talked about all of these on my streams before, although I found out that the last time I did it for Couple was like 56 days ago, which is nearly 2 months. I didn't realize it had been so long. I think I was starting doing them because I wanted to tell people, hey, this is what exists in the world of L games. So if you're making your contest entries, please don't make something like these other games. Also, I was hoping that it might give people a little bit of inspiration. Now, obviously, the contest is, I'm not going to say over, but the 2020 contest has closed, so you can feel free to use your submissions. And, if we get time, we might playtest it next month or something. Maybe we'll turn it into a regular monthly stream once we've gotten through the first things. Like, okay, we'll try out all the games for the first pass. But fundamentally, I just want to share, these are the games that make up the L deck. I would like to talk about it. It started off by Gil Hova. Brilliant person, Gil Hova. Oh my gosh. They made Prolix, now known as Wordsey, which inspired Wibble. And Gil Hova, what else did they do? They said games are all about incentivizing interesting behavior, which is boom. That's such a powerful thing to remember. Games are all about people doing interesting things together, whether that interesting thing is coming up with brilliant words or drafting things. What's the interesting decision point? What is the interesting bit? The contortion. Is the interesting bit the writing of words? Is the interesting bit writing short words or writing long words? What's more interesting? And give people a point structure to incentivize that. Boom. Brilliant. Gil Hova. Anyway, Gil Hova wrote this essay all about how wonderful multiplayer solitaire games, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. This is all about Mickell. And good morning, Andrew January. And good morning, Alan Outson. It is lovely to see you. And yeah, bonjour and hello to everyone. Before we start, I would like to talk about a brilliant thing. Brilliant thing. Here's a little thing which is brilliant. Brilliant things. Now, a brilliant thing is plastic cups. Now, I'm not saying that we should be using lots of plastic cups because there's definitely a damaging thing about it. Because, it's better to have cups that we can reuse. I'm fairly sure that's better for the environment. And, if there's any environmental experts, and, feel free to let me know and feel free to educate me for sure. But, so this is a plastic cup that I originally contained bubble tea, and I'm basically using this because, why not? Plastic cups do not have to be disposable. This is a cup that came with a little heat-sealed wrapper and a little paper straw. I drank all the bubble tea contents from it, and now I'm just having it in my room as a plastic cup. I'm just going to, rinse it out a few times. I'm going to wash it, and now I'm enjoying it as a plastic cup. Why not use a glass cup? Well, I guess the advantage of this is it's not going to break, it's not going to smash. It makes a little bit less of a noise when it's on my desk there. You can hardly hear that. Compare that to, you see there's a big noise difference. You get what I'm talking about. So that's the glass, that's the plastic. Hear that? And, maybe it's just me, but there's something nice about the, plastic feel on your mouth. And yeah, I'm not saying that we should all go crazy, and for sure, glass is a good thing to use. I'm just saying that let's not throw away the plastic cups. That's basically what I'm saying. Get your plastic cups, enjoy your bubble tea, but then reuse them. Because, yeah. Okay, and Xate is going off for some interviews. I wish you all the best, Xate, and I hope that you're awesome. Alan Outson says plastic cups and containers do tend to leach chemicals. That is not a great thing about them. But still, Alan Outson loves plastic in some ways. Let me talk about plastic bottles then. The nice thing about plastic bottles is once you've got the plastic, just reuse it. You have no idea what came in this. And anyway, this is not just a game about plastic and other brilliant things. This is also a game show podcast. So I would like to talk to you about games. Games. What have I been playing? What are their names? Games. So what games have I been playing? Well, I played quite a few things yesterday. I played, let's see, we played Bbbb for the L deck. That was that was a very interesting game. For me, the most interesting parts of that was whatever you bid on, it's going to be the thing that you're bidding on next round. I mean, whatever you bid with is what you're going to be bidding on next round. And when you bid with something, it's the letters on the cards that matter. But when you're bidding on something, it's only the suit that matters. And there's a really interesting transformation, and it uses every part of the card. It uses the letters, it uses the suits, and the numbers obviously tell you the frequency. So the letters, the numbers are relevant in any game that has some kind of statistical analysis to it. That, I think, is at the heart of Bbbb. It's kind of a case of, okay, how strong is my hand? When am I going to play my good cards, my weak cards? In what order am I going to play them? I heard from the designer that we did make a massive mistake. Apparently, it was meant to be face up rather than face down, so we'll definitely give that another go. But regardless, I think it's a strong game that deserves a lot more attention. Bezel, this was my favorite concept out of all of them. I think that there's something immensely strong here. Now, just because there's a really solid concept doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily be able to make a great game out of it straight away. I mean, Yogi slash in a bind, it took me 2013, it was 2015, so it was about 2 years before we got to this, making it as simple as it currently is. And that striving for simplicity is a difficult thing, especially if it's your first time really making a game. And it's so easy to get bogged down in, okay, how many points for this thing, how many points for that thing, okay, let's have a rule here, okay, it's not too complicated. But remember, if you're trying to make a simple game, remember Gil Hova's words, it's all about incentivizing interesting behavior. And Bezel, it was so, I really enjoyed, I mean, afterwards, we were all chatting about how enjoyable it was, thinking of these brilliant things. And there's a really solid game there. I don't know if it's necessarily should be an LDEC game, which, much as I would love everything to be a game for one of the LDECs, if it goes on to be a great game in its own right, completely unrelated to anything I've done, I will just be happy for having played a little part. And it just a game which is like, hey, let's talk about some brilliant things. Pyramidel, we played that. Well, I didn't play that. That was a drafting game. I watched Layla and Chris play it. That was an interesting strategic drafting game. I think that was a drafting system that's been seen in Seven Wonders 2-player duel thing. But, it's definitely an interesting thing, works well, draftable. Another drafting game where the numbers are, the easy letters are, it's not really a word-making game, it puts the focus onto the drafting and then we've got the rummy game. And I mean, these are just the names to you. I'm just spouting these names, and these probably don't mean anything to you, and so I apologize for that. But yeah, so we played all 5 of those games, myself, Chris, Layla. We had a good time with them generally. And then I played games with Talita. With Talita Ryan, we played Freemel, which we enjoyed, Formel, and Prey, and Aqua was there. Formel worked quite well. And then we played How Much Money. Well, I taught Talita How Much Money. I don't know if you can say we played it, because there were only 2 of us. And yeah, for sure, if you've got a better version of it, then please do continue working on it. Remember, game design, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so, yes, if you've got a better idea, then, just go for it. And keep working and try to, and if you want to send it over, then I will have a look probably next week, because this week I'm a bit stressed with UK Games Expo and everything. Now, let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights. My recent highlight is actually my vitamin C tablets. I mean, honestly, just the heady aroma, listening to the noise as you plunge the capsules in and then you surround it with water and it goes, makes that little noise. It's just a little frisson of joyful, and it's like, oh la la, such excitement, such bubbles. And I don't actually like carbonated beverages. I don't like it when, sometimes it's a bit too much, but this has just got the excitement of carbonation, even though it's not actually carbonated. You know what I mean? For me, that, and yeah, I think, yeah, getting myself to sleep, I guess. Yeah, I think this was just getting up. I mean, the problem with me talking about my recent highlights is that otherwise, if you saw all my streams, you saw me at 8 p.m. last night. I did work out. I did do some sit-ups and some push-ups twice yesterday, I want to say. Once around 7:50-ish and once in the morning, and so I was quite chuffed with that. And so I'm feeling quite good about that. That was another recent highlight, but I've already mentioned it. Another recent highlight might be, just textual communications, but it's like This is the problem with streaming too much. At some point, what is recent anymore? I guess my most recent highlight was seeing my lovely housemates in the chat. That was very nice. Now, as I always say, feel free to comment, ask questions, and like, follow. If you have any questions about Mickell, which I'm about to explain, then please feel free to like, follow. And if you, ask questions, ask comments. How many hours of streaming did you do in total yesterday? I don't know. Someone else check. That seems like a question that is okay. Fine. You've twisted my arm. I'm going to look. It's this. So if we look, it is 5:20 plus 2:15. That was yesterday, and a bit in the evening. That's not here yet, which was about 2 hours. It's about 9 hours. Yeah, 9 hours and a bit of streaming yesterday. Now, I did not see your post. So, whoops. Let me, where is that rule sheet? Oh yeah, here it says. So, we are talking about Mickell. Questionably quick questions. What is the name of this game? Mickell. Let me ask myself actually the questions that I sometimes ask other people. Did I have breakfast? No, I did not. This is my breakfast. When did I wake up? About 8:10. What was the last thing I ate? Oh my gosh, actually I did have breakfast. I had a seafood stick. Iced coffee or hot tea. Well, you know me. I would just go for iced coffee because it's rarer, because I can make myself hot tea. So if someone else is offering, if it's equal, then I'm going to go for iced coffee because, I don't normally get iced coffee. It's not that I prefer the iced coffee. It's just that I want the unusual option. That's basically what it's all about. I always want the unusual option. And who's the last person I spoke to in person? That would be, it's actually, I think it would be Chris. Yeah, Chris, yesterday. Now, Helene says, I saw a horse this morning reaching up and chomping at oak branches. Oh my gosh, that sounds lovely. Was that while you were walking around with your dog? Now, I've got a deck here. I hope this is, yep, it seems to be an intact deck. This one's a bit more, so this is the original L deck. It's kind of pretty much in order. Now, let me see if I can get this. You're going to have to suffer me for 2 minutes whilst I shoot the thing over to my phone. Now, I would like to talk about the L deck and how it started. I'd like to talk about Gilhova. I've been mentioning that, with Gilhova, the nice thing is that Gilhova wrote an article. Here it is. I don't know if you can see that. So it's a defense of low interaction games and why I hate the term multiplayer solitaire. Now, Gilhova is someone who made, as I said before, made a word game that's inspired Wibble. They've made, they're now best known for The Networks, which is a serious game about television. They've also made High Rise, and they've made Battle Merchants, which is an old game about making money and profiteering off war, which is a really powerful social message. So yeah, well done to Gilhova. Anyway, so this is kind of talking about how people talk about multiplayer solitaire, where they basically mean that the game is just low interaction. Gilhova states their case really clearly. Gilhova goes on to talk about something like Race for the Galaxy, where people talk about it as multiplayer solitaire, but it's not. There is interaction. There's so much, and the better you know the game, the more interaction the game there is. Seven Wonders, again, these are not multiplayer solitaire games, but then going on about Take It Easy, a true multiplayer solitaire game. Other games, Number 9, a true multiplayer solitaire game. And yes, Gil is great. I absolutely agree. And hello, Alex. It is lovely to see you. Hello, Alex. But I mean, my point is purely, firstly, that Gil Hova puts a lot of ideas into my mind, and good ideas. I'm not saying like, oh, Gil Hova indoctrinated me and now I'm a slave to the regime or anything like that. What I'm saying is that Gil Hova made me think about more things to do with design and more like how multiplayer solitaire games are really, really good. Yahtzee. I would have to remember the rules to Yahtzee. I'm fairly if Yahtzee isn't true multiplayer solitaire, it's at least very low interaction. So Karuba, for example, is not true multiplayer solitaire because there's a slight race. There's an argument to be made that 5 mil, for example, where you're racing to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is not technically true multiplayer solitaire. Technically, a true multiplayer solitaire game is one in which other people's presence or not at the table does not inform your strategic choices during the game. So Bingo, for example, is a true multiplayer solitaire game. And yeah, that's a lovely way to think about it. Now I'm trying to see if I can get this over and maybe I can set up this stream. So I want to talk about when I read this article, I was like, wow, Gil Hova makes a really good point. Multiplayer solitaires are actually quite a good thing. My gosh, like talking about Take It Easy, how you can have like 100 people at a convention. Sorry, I messed up that banner. Today is just Mickell. Yeah. So, yeah, with the multiplayer solitaire, it's like, oh shoot, I just realized that I completely messed up my info. Mickell is not a 2-player 25 to 40 minutes game. Mickell is a 1-player game. And yeah, just to copy paste the other thing, because so I basically wanted to think, how can we make a game where people could play in the same room, like 50 people or 100 people? That is still my ambition. Yeah, so I was like, maybe one day, I will be able to play a game where, and so I based it off Take It Easy. I think it was because I saw Take It Easy and I'd seen Number 9 and Karuba, and I really pondered them. I looked at all other multiplayer solitaire games that existed. I looked it up on Board Game Geek, and yeah, the thing is, if Yahtzee is a race to get to a certain number, absolutely, yeah, if it's a race to get to a single number, then it's arguably less multiplayer solitaire, although arguably, even if you play true multiplayer solitaire like Number 9, if you see someone else where you are able to take risks, yeah, it might influence what you do. Elaine says they played Number 9, which is actually, yeah, how much do people care about the way that things are written? Because that's not how you write Number 9, it's NMBR 9. And like, it's when people do that, I mean, this gets to think of like, what are people going to call a game wherein you bled or a Scottish word? We need to talk at length for the fast rate while necessarily making very much sense. Using as many words cards as possible as you spout its stream of consciousness. You know, what are people going to call that game? Are they going to call it Bledder? Probably. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you embarrassed. I'm sorry, Elaine. That was arguably not cool of me, so apologies. But anyway, that was the whole tangent. Yeah, Bledder is a great word. Thank you. But so I was thinking, how can we make this into multiplayer solitaire? So in my mind, I was familiar with number 9, and yeah, take it easy. I was basing it on that. I was very much inspired by Gilhova's essay that I've talked about here. This is Gilhova's essay. Got a few comments. I mean, I don't think I even commented on it, even though this was so instrumental to my life. I guess let that be a lesson to you, that even if people don't comment on your video or your article, people are still reading, and there's still something. Oh, apparently there's a video on how to pronounce the acronym. Is it 9? Is that how you sound it? 9. 9. 9. Is that how you say it? Anyway, so back to my game. So I was thinking, okay, maybe everyone's got their own little deck, because you want everyone to have the same set of components. Okay, maybe you get everyone to pick up the exact same cards, and oh yeah, I watched that video. That was a good video. And maybe when you have the cards, the choices are, okay, where is this going to go? Which one do you use? And originally, I had an idea that maybe everyone would start off with this, like, I was thinking, let me tilt this down. So I was thinking, okay, what if we have a game of having sets based on the border patterns? I played an idea, okay, you draw up one thing at a time. Okay, everyone draws up 3 things at a time. I can't even remember these games so well. It was something like, okay, you mix them, you put them in one place, and you're trying to organize things based on sets. Then I had some game ideas where it was, okay, instead of just having, okay, you pick one up and then you play it straight away, I tried to make the change to say, okay, you pick one up, but you've always got multiple in your hand. Maybe you have 2 in your hand. That gives you a little bit more of a decision. Maybe you've got, like, to make a word. Maybe you've got 3 in a hand. And maybe with your 3 in a hand, you put one down, and then everyone picks up exactly the same card. So now everyone's got the SC with those lines. And maybe you're making words on one line. Maybe you're making patterns. I don't know what you're doing, but clearly everyone has to do the same thing. Maybe you're making longer words. So now I'm kind of thinking, okay, I could do rises. I mean, to be fair, I could come back to this for just a pure 1-player game, because this is pretty rubbish as a multiplayer game. But it was a bit too much, and I realized that part of the advantage, I should have, turned it the other way around for you. So I realized that part of the advantage of nice thing about multiplayer solitaire is, okay, everyone picks up the same, puts it down at the same time. Going outside of that simplicity, saying, okay, everyone starts off with 3, now everyone picks up, everyone puts down 1, that adds enough confusion that you can't look over and say, okay, I've put down the SC. No, is everyone ready? The fundamental nature of being able to look around and say, is everyone ready for the next turn, is so important in a multiplayer solitaire game. And in video chats, it's super important. And that's part of the reason why when I'm in video chats, I say, oh yeah, it's A or M. I think, therefore I am. A man awkwardly meanders around menacingly, and men are maybe a mad arrangement. And, I kind of do some side game of making up words for that, like Alex would have seen last night. And the reason that I do that is because I want to give other people time to think of what to put down. And yeah, it's just the nature of those multiplayer solitaire games. Some people make the decision really quickly, then other people take a bit longer to make the decision. It's not as bad as, let's say, Energy Empire. I've already talked about how you do really like Energy Empire, but the nature of a turn-based game where everyone's got their own turn is that, okay, I take my turn, and now I've got to wait until everyone else takes a turn. Whereas multiplayer solitaire, which I've actually explored a lot more recently with the micro Mickell, 3 mil, mini Mickell, 4 mil, 5 mil, balanceable. That's like 5 games that exist that I'm reasonably proud of. That's 3, 4, 5, micro, mini, and balanceable. Yeah, those, and then the reversible is not. Although Ellie Dix did really like it reversible, so I'm going to say there's currently 6.5 good games, all multiplayer solitaire games, because multiplayer solitaire games are so good for our current world, where I can pick up a card and say, okay, the next card is R or W, and then everyone writes down an R or W. And having this multiplayer solitaire game with the new technology, I say new technology as if Yahtzee hadn't already existed for so long, but with this technology of writing down on paper, I mean, suddenly you don't need everyone to have the same components. Suddenly it's like, wow, someone really far away can play the game. And, I think it's because roll and write, it's become far more part of the public consciousness. I mean, that's why, yeah, there's this book. Let's see if I can slip that out. This book that's always part of the Dice and Ink Roll and Write Anthology. Why people are starting to come up with good things like Welcome to Your Perfect Home, Welcome to Dino World, Ganshon Clever, and whatnot, all of these things. Now, I want to say, yeah, by writing it down, this does make it really easy to play the games, and we all enjoy the process of playing it together. We all it's not about, oh, you did better than me. It's not about someone taking the thing that you wanted to take. And yeah, good shout. Now, I want, oh, I just realized that there's a typo in my banner. That's really, I made a big mistake in this whole banner. So, starting off with the notion of a true multiplayer solitaire, what other ideas did I have? I had some other ideas. I mean, I've kind of gone over some of them. It's going difficult for me to, oh, that's weird. Talk about remember literally everything. But yeah, the notion of a multiplayer solitaire game, as Andrew January says, as Gil Hova so eloquently said, because sometimes you don't want to beat up on the people that you're playing with. Sometimes you just want to play alongside other people. It's kind of akin to almost halfway between sitting down and watching a movie together and playing something more competitive like Wibble or none of these are, I guess, like Grapple. It's kind of, the moments when I stop versus you stop, like my hands are literally getting in the way of your hands. Like, I guess Grabble's pretty competitive, although you're not really beating down on someone. But Kitty Cataclysm, that's one where you're all about beating up on people. And, Kitty Cataclysm, where if it was just the vowels, it would be anyway, so, but that's not what I'm going to call it. It is actually Kitty Cataclysm, which is apparently difficult enough to say for a lot of folk. Kitty Cataclysm, Kitty Cataclysm, Kitty Cataclysm, tracing it 3 times quickly. Anyway, so, why did I... So, I find that multiplayer solitaire is a good thing, and I wanted to make a multiplayer solitaire game, and that is why I made this game, which I am going to now hopefully be able to show you. Just give me 3 minutes. Sorry. Momentary stop. We are going to have a tiny break while I fix this camera. I am sorry that I did not put up this camera earlier. Oh, it's upside down. Let's see if that stays. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Hopefully that sounds all working well. Okay, so how does Mickell work? Let me explain Mickell. And so you start off with a card, you put it down. Then the next card, you either start a new line or you continue it. People who've played Freemell or Micro Muckle will be quite familiar with this. So I'm thinking now this could be bar, or yeah, it could be barn or bark or barking. So with this game, this game has a lot more to it than any of the Mickle Muckle variants that you might have seen online. So firstly, by keeping the cards down, that allows you some flexibility. So I'm thinking, okay, my next card, I could do bar for barring. It could also be barb. I mean, in this situation, both of the letters work. But it allows me a bit more flexibility. It makes it slightly easier. Oh, barrow. Oh, barrow. But so this game, it's got a scoring system that I'm quite proud of. If it's 3 letters, you get 1 point. 4 letters, 2 points. 5 letters, 3 points. If it's 6 or 7, you only discard 1. So 6 or 7 is 5 or 6 points. Whereas 8 or more letters, you keep all the cards, if that makes sense. And I just noticed I need to change my background here. So I'm going to go for barrel because I know there's 3 W's. Now, I want to try and use, I can have up to 3 words going on at a time. T, he? No, I don't think I can put this here. Oh, okay. Team. Okay, so Harrod, sm. I mean, also sometimes being able to keep both options open, and I just realized that that's kind of covered. But this being SM or ST gives me a lot of flexibility. Oof, darn. Now, the other thing that you can do with this game that allows you a bit more flexibility is that you can discard cards. If you discard a card, then obviously you don't get anything for it. It's no point. But you do get to... And you can only discard from the right. So it's kind of a bit like an undo. Hats. Yeah, maybe I'll go with hats because I've got nothing better, even though... And so hats, I take those 4 letters, I discard 2 of them, and 2 of them, that's my points pile. And then I carry on. And so during this game, Harrods, yeah, this is another point where I need to probably get rid of that. And really, Harrods, so yeah, I'll keep the th. Str. Oh, Harrow. Oh my gosh, I almost missed that W. Okay, so that's 6 letters, which is pretty good. Now 6 letters is the jump where it means I only discard 1. And so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to discard 1 and take Harrow as 5 points. With Mickell, during the development, once I was like, hey, wait a minute, what if you're playing in multiple lines? I think that was the key inspiration, working on 3 words at once. That really helped bring it from, a fairly rubbish thing into something that had a fair bit of value. Boa, I could just go for boas. Oof. Stadium. There's a lot of Boan, no, ch. And I find myself, coming back to ch, little bits that can work together. Chowed, and chowed. Oh, gosh, chowed down. This could be so exciting if I manage to get someone's chowed down or standing. Boa. Okay, so I'm going to just cut my losses here, discard a 2, even though it's only 1 point, and start this one because. So there's always a question of how flexible do you want this game to be? Do you want to be able to discard cards from the end? Do you want to force people, once they put down a thing, to make that mistake? Now, certainly with a roll and write, or with a flip and write, or with anything where you're writing words on the paper, I think parts of the kind of nature of that game is that you are, once you make a mark, that's it. It's about the permanence, do you know what I mean? It's like, once I've drawn a letter, that should be that letter. And okay, if people allow you off, then okay, you can raise it or do something, but that should be by far the exception. It should be like, no takes it backsies, blimmin' heck. Cat. I'm going for, what was here? Child. Okay, I'm waiting for a D here, so I'm going for that. Stan. So there's always also, let's talk about the scoring mechanism. So I already had couple. Couple was already made. In couple, you've got any length, discard 3. So that means like if you've got a 4-letter word, you discard 3 to make 1. If you've got a 5-letter word, you discard 3 to make 2. So going from 4 to 5, there's massive incentive. Going from 5 to 6, there's still a bit of incentive. But then after that, it starts to taper off. Now, I wanted to make it slightly easier. I feel like you've got a bit less control. And I wanted to reward people even for making a 3-letter word. And I was like, okay, maybe if you discard 2, 3, and then 4 letters is 2, and so forth. But then at a certain point, you need to have a jump, which is why I need to say, okay, 6 or 7, you get, you only discard 1 rather than 2. And then 8 letters is where 8 letters feels like a real achievement. I mean, when someone manages to make an 8-letter word, you remember that. It's like, I've not managed to make an 8-letter word yet this game. And I don't think I generally work to doing it. I aim for like 6-letter words because, this game is clearly incentivizing me to say, hey, 5 letters, you get 3. 6 letters, you get 5. That's a pretty good jump. That's like almost double. That's 67% more. For 1 more card, that's brilliant returns. Like 2 more points for 1 more card. Yeah, that's nice. And if you're only doing 4-letter words, you're normally getting like half a point per card. So, now I'm looking at this and thinking, Stad, where am I putting this M? Oh my gosh, I'm, floundering. Chow. I'm going to try it, discarding that one and go with Mickell. No, actually, I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to discard that one, even though I don't feel good about it. Okay, chower. Is chower a word? Like someone who chows things? Someone who chows things down. That feels like it should be a word. I mean, it's not a word that I would use. Like saying that, hey, Maggie was a bit of a chower. Maggie enjoyed going and... No, apparently it's not a word. I just looked it up. So, I'll go to car. Oh, cars. Oh, boom. So, even going from the 3 letters to 4 letters, I'm like, I've managed to achieve something. I've managed to get 2 points. I feel like not terrible. Chow Stant. I'm really hoping for a D there. How many Ds do I have? And this is where you really want to pay attention to the numbers, because the numbers aren't really meant... I guess I put down the numbers originally just to give you information about the deck. So I know there's 5 Ds because the D has a 5 beside it, if you see there. And there's 4 of them there in my score pile. I see there. Oh, well, just as well I checked. Darn. Stop. Oh, that. Maybe I'm waiting for Stadium. Is that even a possibility? How many U's are there? Because there's only 3 U's. I mean, and I need an I before the U. There's no U's. That's are out yet. Okay, so I might be able to make a Stadium. Chow Flee. Oh, I'm going to go for. Oh, I just realized that I was hoping for a D here and a D here. And yeah, that means that's, yeah, unless I turn this into Chow's. Like, if my next word is a S, then I'll use that. Oh, there you go. Chow's. So I discard 2, and I keep 3. And I feel like this is, so let's talk a little bit about what makes a headline game. So I think we've got, is there any variant or special rule where both letters on the cards can be used? For example, in the second word, I could have made, in the second line, I could make stand. And no, it's not a silly question at all. So I kind of like being able to say, okay, you can make it something that you can say, okay, this is clearly flee, and obviously I don't have a D, but if I did, then I could have gone, boom, look, that's stand. And as it says, it's hopefully stadium if I get another U. It's all about the U. There's 2 more U's, and then I need to get an M. And I think there's, how many M's are there left? There's 4 M's normally, and I don't think I've seen any, maybe 1. Okay, so there's 2 U's, there's only 2 M's left. Oh no, there's 1 here. Oh my god, there's only 1 M left. Oh my gosh, this is a high-risk strategy. I never realized that. But anyway, just being able to place the cards here, like that you can read it left to right, for me, it makes it easier to say 1 letter from each card. Also, for me, it's kind of, it epitomizes this is what the L deck is all about. Because the L deck, even though so draftable, I really love that game, and I'm really enjoying it. And also Phrasal, to be fair, and Fable, which are parts of the core headline games. But I think that's its strongest, personally. I think that the deck is strongest when it's this letter or that letter. And it's a choice of either or, and then you can arrange this, because this feels like quite a nice way to do it. I don't know. Maybe there's no variant. I mean, you could do that yourself if you really wanted, but then you'd be playing by your own scoring system. And then also this way, I guess it simplifies it slightly, because at least, yeah, would you say that you can use, you can finish off on things? Because, yeah, you could, for sure. Oops, Fleas. Boom. Great game. Fleas. It's a good game. You know, by Friedman Fries. So 3 points. And let's move that up there so you can see them better. Oh man, I got the final M. Yeah, I think this was the final M. I'm fairly sure it was, yep. That was the final M. I cannot make stadium anymore. I don't even know what to make with that. I don't know what to do with you. Stank? Stank? Stank is a word. Is stank an actual word? Let me double check. STANK, like to be, Yep, I didn't mean the past tense of stink. I meant, someone's a bit of a stank. Oh, I thought it was just an insult. Have we got the key? And So this game, normally you can play it on your own. And if you refer back to the rule sheet, oh, I could do Stang. Oh no, I've got freebies already out. Stang. Stance? Oh, stance could be a thing. Okay, anyway, let me keep that. So, the stank. Okay, stank. Ran. Oil or all. Oink. Oink. No, that oink wouldn't work. Ran. There's only like 3 cards left, so at this point I'm going to discard those 2, take those 3 as points. I can't see any way to improve this. Oh, that could be lane, to be fair, because it could be... Now, this is where being able to choose your letter afterwards really matters, because I could do ran, or I could do lane, and that's quite an exciting thing, because then that's doubling my points. I mean, I know it's probably not the most exciting thing, like, but, you know, I live in a world of not high excitement, so... Oin? All... Oh, I don't know what to do with that one. Oh, now all the U's come out. No. Nub. Okay. So I'll do nub for 1 point and ran for 1 point. And now here's where I would count normally my cards and be like, okay, I got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 21. Did I count correctly? Yep, I think it's 21. And then my computer is about to go off apparently. So if I look at this, 21 was very good. Well, that makes me feel good. I mean, it was definitely more than a success, and I was live streaming at the same time. So, but I think, yeah, there's been only a couple of games that have gotten to the truly outstanding bit. This is a game that, so if you're playing this multiplayer solitaire, this is a game that takes quite a bit of arrangement. You need to say to everyone, okay, before the game starts, everyone starts off by arranging all your cards by A, E, I, N, O, R, S, T. And then there's one person who's the caller. And when they take a card, everyone else needs to take the same card. Now, there's quite a few types of bits. And it does make me realize that's actually how good either drawing things are, because then it's really easy to do, and there's no, okay, let's search for the correct card, or a game where you only have, for example, 4 different types of cards, where, okay, you put them into 4 piles, which is a lot easier than having 48 unique cards. I did play this game at one night with like 12 people, maybe 2017, I want to say. Yeah, 2017 was Mickell, 2018 was Categorical, 2019 was Puzzle. So, yeah. So I played a game of this with about 12 people, and then a couple of them were like, oh, this is a great game. And one of them said, hey, I already had this deck. I enjoyed Wibble and Grabble. I enjoyed a bit more, but Mickell, that was my favorite. So thank you very much. And that made me really happy, because up until Mickell, I'm going to be honest, there's always a bit of nervousness in my mind. Are these games good enough? Genuinely. So if I go back, let's see what happens if I click this. Okay, here you can see all the key games. So we had Wibble, which we already talked about, coming up with words quickly for one of these things. So I say rock, and now you could say rake, but I could not, because I have to use one of these 2 letters. So I could say racket, and I could say radio. And once I've got 3 cards, then I take the 4th as bonus. I keep one of them as a permanent obligation, and then we start again, and it comes slightly harder for me. And so now I'm very confident about that. we go to Grabble, and Grabble, Phrasal, Fable, even Alphabetical. There have been a lot of people who've really enjoyed them, and I guess it was Couple where it was someone from within the board game industry that was Rado of Richard Ham. Rado runs through, who basically said, "Yeah, I kind of enjoy Wibble. I enjoy all the other things are good party games, but this one, Couple, this is like a serious game." And Richard Ham's all about playing two-player games, and honestly, was a big reason why I made Couple the sixth L game, because yeah, I was like, hey, if I can get Richard Ham to review this game, that would be pretty cool. And so yeah, if I ever make another two-player cooperative game, I'll definitely be reaching out to them. But anyway, so the point is, having someone say, "Hey, I prefer this game to," the other thing, it made me think, wow, I feel like, with a highlight headline game for the deck, I want people to be feeling like all these games are good enough in their own right. Like they are good quality games. I want, and I am a bit fearful sometimes that people will come and say, "Hey, these games are all just a bit meh," and dismiss them out of hand because they're for the same deck. And I think that's why I'm working towards making multiple decks. It's probably going to hit the point within the next couple of years where I'm releasing multiple per year. Last year I released this, um, and this year I'm hoping to release the Categorical deck. And once I've done that, then do a Kickstarter for the Couple deck, which is drawn by someone totally different. And then having like a teeny tiny deck. Like the teeny tiny decks would be for Mickell. And the idea with the Mickell decks is that because you want multiple of them, so maybe you get 4 in a box, or maybe you get 2 in a box. And it's like, okay, if you want to play 4-player, but the point is that I didn't make Mickell or Mickell to sell lots of editions of the deck. I mean, I made it because I thought, hey, that's a cool idea. Genuinely, I still have the desire that one day I will be playing this game with like 50 people. And when it's so many people, it does take a lot more organization. And it might be at the point where it's like, you know what? All of these decks are prearranged. So I don't tell people exactly how the decks are going to come out. But what if I were to say, open your decks so everyone gets like a deck that's half the size, and they are all in exactly the same order. And now the caller is almost like just keeping pace and saying, okay, this is the card that you should be on. And there's like a couple of people wandering around, helping people out if they have any rules questions. And then once we've played, then I get that could be like a big launch event. I mean, I don't know if I could do something like that at UK Games Expo 2022 or something like that. That would be so amazing. And be like, just, yeah, no one's even opened any of these decks before, and let's get them out. Like a big, slight, and that would be so much fun. Have I ever thought of doing a giant cell deck? Play your cards right. Oh, do you mean like this size? Oh, have you not? I do have a giant cell deck. Have you not seen? I've got an A5 version. It's not like that big, but it is. It's totally this big, and it's still pretty cool. I made it for what's that gallery? The Somerset House. That's the one. So Somerset House was really nice, and they have this thing called Now Play This, which I was part of. And so I wanted to show off Phrasal. And so as part of that, I got Denim to help me print basically these A5 things. And I think we worked out that it's all about the card rigidity. That's the problem, because if it's bigger than A5, we could have totally printed A4 card. The problem was that if it's A4, it kind of becomes a bit more floppy and it's not as enjoyable to play with. True story. But what you could do, if you wanted to make an even bigger deck, is to then back it like onto even thicker cardboard or like bits of wood or something. That would be crazy. I mean, that's like way off in the future. That's probably more than 2 years. Oh, I so yeah, yeah, you could do it on foam board. That's a good idea. Um, I will say that I also had thoughts. This is true. I had vague thoughts, and then I decided not to do it. Of the original Wibble Plus Plus Kickstarter back when I was making this. I don't know. I've got this camera still up. I'm going to remove this for a moment. Although I feel like if I remove it, maybe it'll totally go away. But anyway, so back when I was making this, I thought of okay, I am not able to. How can I make a high pledge level? I can't do what I did for In the Bind and draw people in the deck. What can I do? And then I thought, what I can do is make bespoke versions of the deck. Now, I decided not to do this because I talked to my man, Dan, and Dan was like, yeah, Bez, you're kind of making a lot of work for yourself. But I still have this ambition that one day this is going to be like pretty expensive, and I'm not expecting people to buy it, but like it'll be A5 because we've hello. Um yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to plug in my laptop, but am I just standing still? Or yeah, that would be an actual interesting thing. So anyway, so what I was saying was that I think there should be a bespoke version. So it would be semi-bespoke, by which I mean it would be the printing, screen printing. Maybe I would. I don't know if I would make. Yeah, maybe like 6 different screen prints for each of the borders and 26 for each letter. Maybe I might not bother with the numbers because it's very much just a kind of ornate thing. I'd kind of have to, yeah, maybe the numbers would be integrated into the letters somehow. Like maybe the W would be actually made out of the number 3. That would be pretty cool. Imagine like an A where the A is just like the number 6 repeated and the W is the number 3 repeated. And then the R is the number 6 repeated and the B is the number 4 repeated. That might be quite cool. Anyway, that's like there's loads of ideas for down the line, and there's like loads of ideas for literally things made out of stone or wood and like a real heavyweight thing. But let me get back to talking about Mickell/Muckle. So what's our ideas that I have? What was I trying to make? I was trying to make a game that would be enjoyable and worth playing as a one-player game, but I hope is also worthwhile as a multiplayer game. And the proof of the some of the proof of the game is in whether other people go for it. And so I am going to say that there is a real problem with this game in multiplayer mode. Like, the problem is that you need to spend a bit of time doing it. You could do AIN or a C, or I realized that you could do Senorita, which is kind of marginally more exciting. So let's do that. And then once you've got all your things ordered, then someone else says, okay, this is the card, and now they say, okay, everyone else looks to find that card, and the caller needs to be the person to check up on everybody. The caller needs to be the person to say, hey, have you all found the card? Have you all decided where it's going to go? Okay, we need to keep a bit of pace. If it was being done in a convention hall, I'd probably want to have a previous cards, so that, if someone was a little bit slow, okay, they could be like 1 or 2 cards behind and it wouldn't break the game, although ideally everyone would be on exactly the same card. It's unavoidable that sometimes one card will be hard for one person and then the next card might be hard for another person. The L deck isn't a heavyweight hero. I'll show you. This deck is made out of stone from Germany. I like that. Thank you so much for joining in, Elaine. And yeah, I hope that this has been interesting to watch, apart from the bit where there was literally no change in the visual nature. And it's like, the point is now, like, if we had smaller decks, like, then I could basically fit them into something more akin to, this size. That's not too big, but when it's 8, also, Mickell, you want to have smaller decks, don't you? And so smaller decks do have that utility. And now if I wanted to look for an AP, it's like, okay, I've got the AP, boom. And whatever. So how did it develop? Well, the last change was basically the cards. How do I feel about the game now? I'm happy with it. I feel like this is probably the best one-player words game. Certainly for the L deck, I feel like it's the strongest out of all of them. It depends what you want. There's a one-player words game that's all about making 3-letter words, and that's quite a relaxing thing where I'm not going to go through it, especially now that I've ordered the deck and now I need to unorder it. But the one-player words games, I feel like it rewards you for making long words. 8 is a difficult length. It manages to reward you, even if all you're able to make is 3-letter words. You still get a little bit of 1 point for a 3-letter word, 4 points for a 2-letter, that's pretty good, and 5 points for a 3-letter. And if you manage to get 6, wow. And so, yeah, when I got 21, and then it said I did very well, good, not just a success, but I was very good, I'm pretty happy with that. And I try to make these games so that, it illustrates this is the aspirational point. And some of the games, like Placeable, frankly, you get through it, and if I were to play it, I would be disappointed if I didn't manage to get all the way through. But because of that, there's quite a nice, gentle relaxation of the mind. With Portable, there's a nice relaxation of the mind. But with Mickell and Mickell, as a one-player game, I feel it's really strong. With Mickell as a multiplayer game, it is good. I have had a couple of people come to me and buy 5 decks purely because of that one game, because they want all 5 decks because they want to play Mickell with their family, which to me tells me that it's a good enough game that, and I'm just going to now take that off. Let me how do I Okay, sorry about that. It's really weird. Like, even if I close the application, even if it's like just minimized, apparently it's still running. Anyway, so I've got this because I didn't need the other two screens anymore. So I feel happy about it. I don't feel like it's the best multiplayer solitaire that you can have. Is it better when people are writing their things? Genuinely, would that be a better game? If people were all writing their things, if it was basically just Mickell/Muckle, and we tried it a couple of times where we played Muckle, but instead of everyone having their own cards, everyone was just writing the letters. But then that means that you can't use both letters, and it means that you can't go backwards. I did include a rule that you can just kind of go backwards to make a form or a word, but you can't go backwards and then add more bits because that gets too complicated. So I think there's something nice about having your own cards in front of you. There's something nice about feeling that, rather than just, okay, seeing the cards and then writing down on a bits of paper, having your own deck. And when I played it with Michael May and Sarah May, I want to say, from Two Can Play This Game, I mean, it's good. I like Mickell. If I'm being honest, I'm not as convinced about Muckle just because of the setup complexity, and that is the worst part of it. What? I'm getting into loop pedal music. I don't understand this. Are people struggling to see me? Let me see. But how do I feel? Probably I've explained that. Who's it good for? It's good for one person. Oh, okay. Cool, I get it. And who's it good for? It is Mickell. What's it good for? Absolutely nothing. No, that. No, it is actually. It's a difficult one. It's good for people who like to think about the words a bit more. I like the fact that it's relatively introductory. I like the fact that you're not, beating up on other people. I like the fact that, you could play with a small child who's just working to make the 3-4 letter words, and for them that is an achievement. And then maybe one day they get to the point where they are making that 6-letter word, and when they finally get up to being very good, I'm like, oh, amazing. And then, at the point where you become truly brilliant, that is partially down to luck as well. And the nature of multiplayer solitaire is that there's always going to be an element of the luck. And so as a one-player game, you have to be a little bit accepting of the nature that, hey, maybe one game out of a billion, you will get no vowels for the first 10 cards. And if that happens to you, well, you have to accept that it's going to be a low-scoring game. But if you and 2 or 3 or 4, 10 other people are playing at the same time with the exact same deck, the nice thing then is you can sort of compare and say, hey, we all got really bad scores. The top score for this game was 12. I don't know. Maybe it was like a ridiculously bad hand, and the top score for the game was 12. And in that situation, yeah, it's kind of, you've got, from Muckle, I like to say that when someone makes a word, they tell everyone what word they made, and they say, oh, I made wilds, 5 letters for 3 points, and they shout it out. And in a big group, I kind of imagine people just announcing it to their table or to the people kind of around them, and it gives you a bit of a sense of what everyone else is doing, because there's not much engagements or investments in other players. So having a little bit of vocalization rules, I think, helps a little bit. I'm happy with it. I think it's still it's so good a game that I am basically planning to advertise, a double deck box, like so 2 decks into 1 box, and that will probably be advertised as Many a Mickell Makes a Muckle, I was also thinking of doing it 4 in a box, because then 4 is kind of, well, they say freeze a crowd, and 4 is okay. 4 feels like a good number of people, and then I could have 4 colors on the backs, and then it could be like all distinct. So it's like, okay, you have to buy 4, but maybe you buy 4 for, I don't know, 25 quid. And 4 decks for 25 quid, that seems like reasonable to me. I can do that because I am printing more of the decks. All the fronts of them would be identical. So my big plan, okay, I'm going to let you in on my really big plan, is to kickstart, not in the company sense, but in a figurative sense, the deck to a point where there's going to be tens of thousands of decks in the world. I want to print maybe, I don't know, a large number of decks with all of them having the same faces, 4 different types of back, and then I will have some of them put into this set of 4, which is going to be advertised with Many Mickell Makes a Muckle, and that will be sold for a certain price. And then some of them, just put into little tiny top boxes, and maybe that will be sold for, I don't know, like £8.50, or even, I don't know, something along that line, like £10, or somewhere. It'll be less than £10, by which I'm aware it could be £9.99, but yeah, it'll be less than £10. And I want to price it as budget as I can afford, to basically get to the point where I am printing literally 10,000 faces. Because then if I print 10,000 faces, okay, 1,000 of these, of the sets of 4, that's 4,000, let's say 1,500, that's 6,000, and then 3,000 in the little boxes, and then maybe 1,000, of them I just, basically make a, and with that I can really bring the price down. That's my kind of ambition, to get that to the point where if there is the demand, then I could have these tiny little decks for $7.50 or something, which hopefully people see it and, oh, that's cute, what's going on here? And sure enough, you won't have any rules, because I'm trying to bring the price down as much as possible, but you'll have like little QR codes to this website, and I think the first step is the website. But anyway, I've talked enough about the Owl deck in general. I should get into the habit of, especially when it's a solo episode, finishing at this point. I just hate to leave you, do you know what I mean? It's been lovely, and so I hope this has been an interesting episode. I don't have a good, satisfying conclusion. I'm still working out what I'm doing, and I'm still working out how I feel about this game. In many ways, this, as I've said, this whole situation where I can do another thing about all this stuff. So to recap, Mickell is the 8th game, and it can be played found here. I will if you share it, copy link and paste it in the comments. And sorry, it's always slightly confusing. Alex, it has what? It has been interesting, or it has had a... Yeah, I'm assuming it has been interesting. Thank you very much. Anyway, so to recap, if learning about my design goals and philosophy certainly captures my interest. Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. That's nice to hear. Oh yeah, I never actually read all this, did I? I was inspired by the Scottish phrase "Many Mickle makes a muckle," which is spelt this way, and I wanted to create a game called Mickell. Basically, I was very much inspired by the phrase "Many Mickle makes a muckle" because I think it was a mixture of Gilhoa's thing and that Scottish phrase. And yep, that was that. He talks about that. You can read this all in thingy. Oh yeah, I used to work for Alleycat Games based in Letchworth Garden City, and so I did a lot of pondering on the train. Yeah, I tried having a hand, but that made things more confusing. Oh yeah, and striking things, discarding things, testing for the breakpoints, and help. Thanks to blind testers Drew Richards, Peter Buchan Simmons, Matt Evans, Michael Lee, Yo Stantuma, Andy Angu, Ellie Mamane, and Mike Bolin. The rules were proofread by Dave Dodds. Additional thanks to Dave Brain, Paul Mansfield, Michael May, and Sarah May. And so, yeah, thank you to all those people. Thank you to everyone who's watching. I should actually, I don't think I went into the Twitch today to keep an eye on things, which I really should get into the habit of doing, but thankfully got people like Alex, Anxate, and Alan there, the three Bezketeers. So thank you to everyone, Alan and Alex and Anxate, for being my moderators, and Shinglong. Thank you to Andrew, January, and everyone else who popped in along the way, Elaine, Jaja Gabo. It was lovely having you, and yeah, thank you to everyone who's kind of kickstarted and supported the deck generally. If you want to check me out, stuffabez.bigcartel.com. You can buy some of my stuff. Twitter.com/stuffabez. I tweet a lot. Instagram.com/stuffabez. I might share some pictures in a minute. Twitch.tv/stuffabez. I'm currently streaming. This is the best place to watch me stream. Facebook.com/thingsbybez is a thing. Stuffabez@gmail.com is a place where you can email me. And looking forward to hopes and ambitions. It's over to you for... Oh no! Oh, I pressed the delete button for one of my banners. What was it? Something to you. Oh yeah, looking forward to. Looking forward to. Yeah, there's a delete button for each of these banners, and then if you click it, it just gets deleted, and then you need to retype it, which is disappointing. But yeah, looking forward to hopes and ambitions. It's over to you for this final section. So I am looking forward to having Chris over, getting some work done. Might have a wee bit of breakfast. I might make an egg. Might make some cereal. Oh my God, I might put some feta cheese in the cereal. It will probably be terrible, but maybe I'll try it just because I can. And I have that power. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I hope ambition is still for UK Games Expo to have a good one. Let me know what you are looking forward to. Let me know what your hopes and ambitions are. If you've enjoyed this, then please tell someone about it. I'm not asking you to just like spam people on social media, but if there's someone that you think would be interested in the L deck, then let them know about it, and let them know about my future streams, because my future streams tomorrow, it's with Ellie Dix, all about families. So if you've got people who have families and are thinking about going to board game conventions and wondering how board game conventions relate to families, that's going to be a good shout. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Friday at 10 a.m. I am going to be talking about my top 5 L games. I still don't know what they are. I'll have to spend a bit of time pondering that. Saturday, 10 a.m. I'll be not here. I'll not be streaming. I will be streaming on the UK Games Expo thing. And so that will be my first break after 100 and some number of episodes. And I'm going to be talking about board game design for everyone, wherein we talk about how it builds empathy, analytical skills, all sorts of things. I've really got to make some notes for that. Then 12, 2, and 4 on Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be playing some games. We're going to be playing, hopefully, if we get a decent number of people, Kitty Cataclysm, maybe some quick word games at some point, maybe Yogi Stock Guru at Sunday, 2 p.m. I'm hoping to nail down this whole schedule today and get it all uploaded, thanks to Chris. Then Sunday, I'm going to be doing a State of Bez, which I'm slightly regretting. I'm not sure if that was definitely the best time to do it. So it feels like a quite high, mentally intensive thing. That kind of thing. Basically, what I want to do is to say, okay, this is what went well recently. This is what went badly recently. These are my games that I'm planning to bring out. And hey, if you're a media person, you might want to know about these things. I'm not willing to give dates for most of these things because I am basically the only full-time employee, although, Chris comes over maybe once a week or so. And there are a lot of other people who help me, don't get me wrong, by playtesting and supporting me and, backing my Kickstarters and stuff. But fundamentally, it's still just me as the one person who's invested. And, as I said to Digisprites, I'm a bit envious and I kind of wish that there was someone kind of, really a big part of it, that I could just be like, hey, let's always be chatting about it, let's be making games together, let's work on this thing. And but those are my next streams. Alan Alton says they're looking forward to beating that darn tree. Break is just streaming somewhere else instead. Yeah. And yep, that is that thing. And there's only one thing left to do, which is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.